Good afternoon, everybody. Well, what a day. Coming home from work, it was like, right, I need to do a tag. What am I going to do? I need to cheer myself up. So, tag number 10, favourite colour and knots. Yeah, favourite colour. So, my favourite colour at the moment, for those of you that have seen me out and about, I tend to have mustard yellow or yellow. So, I've pulled out a range of yellow threads. I have some really thick pearlies, I've got some stranded threads, some linen, thicker threads, pearly, and then I've got some bits of fabric and a little bit of sequin waste. But not sequin waste, sari waste, not sequins, they're circular. Right, okay. I've got a little bit of a wool blanket. So this is from Eliza that I mentioned in tag 8. I've got a bundle of the wool. It's the most gorgeous yellow colour. So I'm going to pop on my template. I'm trying one of these friction pens because the ones that I've had, same trying them, it's not even drawing on. The ones that I've had that are my washaways, I've just not been that impressed with them. They just dry out too quick. Now I thought these ones, because they're erasable when you do them on paper, I thought if like they've been friction, you'd to cause friction to get rid of them, but apparently it isn't. You can just iron the edge. But anyway, I'm doing this on the outside of my template, so when I come to cut it out, I'll just make sure that there we go, that I cut it around on the outside. So I'm going to keep it just that little bit bigger, just because then it's going to be a little bit easier for me to hold while I am working. So like usual, you could use any background you want, but it has to be in your favourite colour. So it's going to be really interesting to see whose favourite colours are what. I have quite a few favourite colours, but I just think, oh, I've been so busy at the moment that yellow is just such a sunny colour. It just makes you smile. Okay, so as I suggested, because we're doing my favourite colour, we're going to do my favourite stitches, which tend to be knots. So you can do this however you want, you can lay it out however you want. I really liked the strips and things that we used last week. So I've got a little bit of yellow sari waste, she says, can't find the end. Where are we? There we go. Right, chop off a little bit of that. Right, I want to use it a little bit. Oh, mind you, I quite like it. Oh, here we go. This is all ready. Do I go flat or do I go scrunched? Flat or scrunched? Oh, too many decisions. I've got that bit as well that I quite like because it's, I could have that fringy with that on the top. So the idea is I'm going to do a bit of fabric across here, and then I'm just going to go a bit bonkers with knots, because the last one we went down. Or do we do a shape in the middle? I've really not planned this one at all. Oh, quite like that there. Which way around? That way. But then I really want you to be able to see all the knots. Or do I just go with that? Oh, it's too many decisions. I don't want to do that. My temptation is to go with that down the side, but that's pretty much like we did last week. And I just want to go a little bit, I just feel like just sitting and doing like lots and lots of stitching. I'm going to go and put something on the telly and just stitch for England. I'm feeling like I need a different shape. What about a swirl? Let's have a look. Could I swirl that out, or could I do or do we just meander? Could just do meandering. Right, let's pin. Let's get a bigger piece now. I need a bigger piece of this. I was being a little bit conservative. Right, come on. Right, keep it scrunched because I quite like the scrunch. So if I start at the top, so I could do it, so if I leave it, I can wrap a bit around the edge of my piece. Right, let's go for a meandering. I suppose it is a bit of a meandering sort of life at the moment, wandering along, singing a song, as they say. Definitely not me. I'm not the one that's singing. I don't know, I've got so many pin cushions, yet when I want a pin, I can't find a pin. Now then, do I just meander down? That's like a Z. I don't like that. Ooh! Could do stripes across. Or diagonally. You can tell I really have not thought about this way. I just came home and I was like, right, I want a nice colour. And I want to just sit and stitch. I think I'm overthinking this. Perhaps I just keep it really simple. Right, what happens if I iron it? Let's put the iron on. Oh, there we go. Now, you proper got me chuntering this week, haven't you? Sorry. Oh, what am I like? This is what happens when you don't have... Well, I did have a plan. But the problem was, the plan was this week... I'm not going to say what the plan was exactly because it'll probably come later on. But when I was looking at the flags up at the top, it just wasn't right. It just didn't fit properly with where we were up to. And I thought, oh, the colours don't fit. It's just not right. So it was like, right, okay, cheer yourself up. Let's go with your favourite colour. Just start off with something, because I think when you get a bit of a stitcher's block, a bit like writer's block, you're best just to sit and do something. I see, I quite like that now. Quite like that. So I could have that. Do I go with a square behind and thread on, oh, and that on the top? Right, let's just go with it. Because the worst thing you can do is if you've got a little bit of a procrastination going on, is just to sit and look at things. The best thing you can do is just get on with it. Or as my kids at school say, because apparently I say this a lot, is just crack on. Let's just crack on and get something done. And I do think it is the way to go. Just unplug my iron. Otherwise I'm just going to burn out my hands. Oh, right, there we go. Right, made a decision. That bit there's annoying me, so I'm going to cut that top end off. This is just folding it over. So I'm just going to cut it out just on the inside. There we go. Right, then you will be really pleased to know that all we're going to do is knot. Knot. So I shall do a demonstration of the knots that we may utilise on our piece. And again, I'm going with the colours, so I'm going with the colour yellow. I've got loads of different shades of yellow. Light, dark, maybe a bit more of an orangey mustard yellow. That's not going to go through that needle. So the first knot I'm going to do is one of my favourites, French knot. I know what you were thinking, she's going to do a bullion. Well, yes, I will be in a second. So because I've got those going across, I'm going to go up with my knots. So French knots, demonstrated these loads. So basically bring your needle up, point it away from the hole, thread away from the hole, wrap it round, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going back down where you came up. Oh, she says, but it doesn't want to go through. There we go. And there you've got your knot. So I'm just going to start off with some of these just randomly put that'll just help me set off on my idea of my composition. So with this you can get as carried away as you wish. I'm not going to stitch down the fabrics, I don't think. I might need to do a little bit a bit later on if I haven't knotted all the way. But once you've got some of your knots on, it should be attached down, so you should be able to take your pins out. So knots are something where you get a little bit of a rhythm going. Do clusters of them. So I'm wrapping these ones to start off with just 3 times round my needle, so I get a regular sized knot. But then you can play around with the thickness of your threads, the numbers of times that you go around your needle. It'll all create really different patterns and different sized knots. These ones are quite neat because I'm pulling that tension on the needle, so it keeps that knot just nice at the bottom. Oh, pulled it right through. That was not a good plan. Try that one again. So 1, 2, 3, back through. So there we go. And then I'm going to go off onto my background as well. And it's just really just choose a thread and a knot and just keep going until your thread runs out. And with this one I would suggest that you keep turning your flag upside down, sideways. Have a look at it from all directions. There we go. So there's my first load of French knots. So I'm going to do lots of those, loads and loads of different colours. Just fasten that off on the back. There we go. Scissors. Okay, right. The next one then that I'm going to do, which everybody will be really happy with, is a bullion. Love a bullion knot. These are great using slightly thicker threads. If you can, a milliner's or a straw needle, but if you want to go for really chunky ones, go for a thicker needle. The idea with the straw needles or milliner's needles is the fact that the eye is the same thickness as the needle, so that when it comes to taking the wrapped thread off, it just slides off. Doesn't matter if you haven't got one, but you want a fairly decent length needle. So I've got quite a chunky one here because I'm going to go for some chunky bullion knots. So a bullion knot, you start at the top of the stitch, and then you make a stitch the length that you want the knot to be, and you come up where the thread has come out. Is it going to focus? Let's come down a little bit. There we go. I'm leaving my needle in, and then what I'm going to do is this thread here, I'm going to wrap it around my needle, and I want about the same amount of thread on there as the length of the stitch. Okay, and then the trick is to pull the needle through. Now my eye this isn't a miller's needle, so if you just rub your thumb and finger backwards and forwards, it just helps it come through. Just trying not to get in a knot at the other end. There we go. And then you pull it over the top, just scrunch your little coils down, and then go back through the bottom. Take these pins out now. Just pop those there. Okay, so there's our bullion. So these are gorgeous if you start scrunching them all together. So I'm going to take it from my point and I'm going to meander up through. So do it again. Top of the stitch, make a stitch, leave your needle in. This is the thread, this is the top of the stitch. Wrap that round, So you've got round about the same amount of thread as there is there. Pull it through, just get a thumb and finger and just rub them backwards and forwards. What that does is it loosens and tightens the coil, and it just means you can pull the eye of the needle through. Then just pull that thread through. When you get to this point here, it naturally wants to come back over. Just use your thumbnail just to scrunch your little coils up and then go back through the bottom of the stitch. So these are nice then if you start grouping them together so that they overlap slightly. So I'm going to overlap the bottom of that one. Let's come up, just shorten the little tail on my thread. Oh, I'm going to enjoy sitting this evening. I'm going to go and get some tea, pull the kettle on, pop something on the telly, and then just sit and stitch. Oh, there we go. All that comes over the top and down. So you can see there I'm beginning to sort of start overlapping them. So what you can do when we was doing the tags, this is a sample from one of the tags that I did. This is when we were actually doing the bullion knots. So you can really play around with the lengths of them, really thin. Why is that not focusing? There we go. That's really tiny thin cotton. You've got slightly thicker tapestry wools. You can make them a little bit curly and lumpy, so by doing that you just make a short stitch but put more on your actual needle. So to do more of a loopy one, if you wanted a loopy one, what you do for that is you only make a small stitch, that's about 1/2 centimetre. Come back up, but then you put a lot more on your needle. So I've got about 1/2 centimetre, and we'll go for maybe like 1.5 centimetres on there. Pull it through, just wiggle those coils off, just gently pull it through. Now what then happens, you have to go back down, but if you can see, there you go, you end up with like a little loopy one, and that's mainly because there's more coil than there is stitch, so they can be really nice to play around with. Okay, let's tie that off at the back. There we go. So we're just going to do favourite colour and knots. So it's quite a quick video. If you want to see any of these techniques demonstrated again, there's loads of the tag videos. There's one that is all on bullion knots, and I did one I think where we included French knots as well. So I'm going to go and spend a bit of time stitching away this evening. Quite looking forward to it. Going to take all my threads, pop them in a box, find something on the telly and go and sit and stitch, and I'll come back and I'll pop some photos on at the end. So I hope you enjoy favourite colour knots. Okie dokie, see you later. Happy stitching.